this is partly a podcast and partly me just straight up asking, like, you guys sound really cool. What are you building? How long have you been doing it? You know, too many questions. Why don't we start with, what is it that you're working on? What is your main project right now?
Right now, yeah. We are working on making a multi-million-dollar film. Actually, it's a $1.25 million film.
That's incredible.
It takes place during the early ages of the church, Rome, kind of 300. So kind of something different, recreating an ancient film. And it's kind of different for us because in the past we've done, they were micro-budget films. And so it's kind of like not relearning everything all over again, but like working with a lawyer is something that's new for us this round. PPMs, investors, it's kind of, it's a new adventure working on this current film.
No kidding. How does one go from micro budgets to 1.2 million, I think you said? That's not a big jump at all.
Yeah, so with all of our past films, it's been the people that are involved were the ones that were supporting it. And with Fabiola, I don't know if you mentioned the name of the film. No. With Fabiola, we are going to we felt like it was time to tell a story that was more Hollywood quality. I mean, Hollywood films are very, very, very expensive, but kind of taking it up a notch. So we just decided that this was the project that we needed to take that step. And we would like to move into more hiring actors and building sets. So that was kind of the decision there on that.
This is incredible. And it's a family project, right? That's now like exploded. Tell us, let's start at the beginning then. How did you get into making films at all, and why?
I was about 8 years old, and we were just like a normal family. We watched films, that came out. Of course, we were wary about not every single film that came out. And then one day we decided that we were going to get rid of the TV and just kind of focus on entertainment that was not media driven. I remember one thing, the two things that I picked up were Angora rabbits and the violin. And so, but of course, exactly. New things come up. Everyone picked up an instrument. You just kind of realized how much time you spent on, I say the TV, but watching movies, really. And just kind of doing things that were unplugged, I'd say. Then when a film came out in 2012 that was called The War of the Vendee, and it was made by a homeschool group in Connecticut. It had 150 children in it, and they were the actors in the film. And we watched that, and that was kind of one of the first films we watched going back into reintroducing movies. And that really inspired us that you don't have to be a millionaire to make a film. You don't necessarily have to have gone to college to make a film either. It's just a matter of pulling through, sticking to it to the bitter end, and getting just kind of this group together to help you make it happen. So as a family, we kind of divided up what we were good at. I was the director. Faustina was the scriptwriter, and Mom and Dad oversaw all of it. They looked at budgets, they helped us organize, and helped us get things put together in order to have people come and be part of the projects. And even over time, my younger brothers have gotten more involved, picking up little parts of the business that we are able to let them help us out with. So, and I gone on from there.
Amazing. I imagine you're all now working full time in a project like this.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Mary and Faustina are definitely working full time, and I put in a lot of, it's not really like clocked in hours, just a lot of letting them bounce ideas off and looking over budgets and things like that.
Was this ever a dream that you had?
Not really.
No?
I think that in a lot of ways it was my oldest daughter, Mary. It was her dream, and she just, by the time she was 16, it was the first time she'd made her first full-length film, and I oversaw a lot of that, and I acted in it, and my husband acted in it, so we've all taken turns being actors, and she did a great job of organizing it, and Faustina had written the script, so moving on from there, they just, right when one was done, they forgot all the horrible moments, and we're ready for the next one, like a lot of those sorts of projects are.
That's amazing. Like, you use the phrase "to the bitter end," and so I'm curious, why? What is it about the whole process that keeps you going and then doing it again? Why has it been like rewarding to you as a creator?
I think that there is kind of, I don't know if I'd say it's an adrenaline rush, but it's that sort of a thing where there's almost a addiction to something inside of you when you see your film, when you get all of the actors together and you have your premiere. I think that's a really important thing that low budget filmmakers need to make sure that they do, is have a premiere, because that's what really drives you of, we'll do this again. And I think that you get really attached to your characters, and I think that some of that attachment is what makes it kind of a rough thing, because it's really a collaborative thing. An artist sits in his room and he paints alone. A composer composes alone. But with filmmaking, you need actors and you need the producers and you need the directors. And so that's kind of, not everyone always has the same vision for their characters or the set or things. And it's just, it can feel, frustrating to like, oh, what are they doing to my story? But I think that the premiere is when you feel like, I didn't do this. We did this. And I think that's really what's addictive about it.
Yeah, I'm getting used to it now, but I think in the past I just was really amazed to see the final edit. I just like, wow, I can't believe that actually came together so well. And then each project, just to see the improvement also is something that makes you want to go back for more.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. It is a substantial amount of work. And like Leslie said, you really have to finish it and see it done. But it's when you're in the work, you're like, oh my, this is a big deal.
That's amazing. That is amazing. I can not resonate. What's the word? Maybe it is resonate a little bit with what y'all are up to. A couple of years, well, I'm from a family of 8 kids and I'm the eldest. And so there's 5 boys and 3 girls. And then at one point, my parents bought us a video camera. And so we did exactly, well, not at a $1.2 million budget level, but we did get a couple of kids from the parish together and we all filmed. We made a 45-minute fantasy movie, obviously set out in deep forest because that's what you do. And it was awesome to get through that. And we also watched the Vendee movie that you mentioned.
Yeah, okay.
And it just juiced us and was so inspiring and stuff. It is so cool to chat with people who have now taken it so seriously that you've now taken it to a whole new level. So how did that happen? How did you go? I imagine you're using better equipment and you're talking to people and you're learning a heck of a lot faster than the rest of us. And now people are investing in you or something. What is that part of the story?
Well, after watching The War of the Vendee, we purchased How to Make a Movie, and Jim Morlino had put that together too, and it was sold through Seton Magazine, or their, Seton Homeschool, and we just emailed Jim Morlino, and we just reached out to him, and he was super friendly and wrote right back and acted, just like a regular Joe. And moving forward, he actually did end up mentoring Mary and Faustina and even was part of them getting grades in their home study for filmmaking. Yeah. So he was a good coach. I think the highest grade he gave him was a B. He didn't let anything slide. No. You want to tell him more about how that transformed into what we're doing today?
Each time we made a film, we'd show him and be like, what, of course we need to improve on a lot of things, but what one thing would you say to work on next time? And every time is something new, so it's kind of good to keep honing in skills and moving on. And then I do remember when we resisted making shorts because we didn't really see the value, but we did finally make a short film where we were able to not so much focus on I'm not saying not focus on the story, but the story was just something to record, and we focused on camera angles, lighting a little bit, and then at that point, I wouldn't say he graduated us, but he knew that we had come to learn the basics and that we could kind of work on our own style going forward. And then we made the pilot scene for our big story. And we had wanted to make Fabiola into a film. Even after we had finished our first movie, This needs to be a film someday. This will be our dream project. So we were just working on improving our skills in all the other films. But then when we kind of got to this point where it's I think we're ready to tell a big story, it was our dream project came to mind. So that's what we're working on.
Yeah, and I would say that our proof of concept really gathered a great team, because a lot of Catholics who are working in the industry and really would like to spend full-time working on their own films and haven't really reached that point yet, we're really excited to hop on board, and they offered their services free, a lot of them. We got an editor who wanted to edit for us, and we got a colorist. He's like, your stuff needs color. We didn't really know that. So a lot of this is really good stuff. We have a really amazing composer who also, so everyone's just kind of beginning their careers. And when they saw our proof of concept, they really loved the idea of this story, and they were pleased with the amount of quality that the story is going to be showing, and we're happy to hop on board. Another person that has been a big mentor, I would say, is Christian Zelada Garcia. Do you want to tell about him, how we met him?
Yeah, so we actually were invited to talk at Marystown, and he was another one of the speakers one time, and I think it was during our talk, he was like, if you guys want any tips, I've made a few films that have gone to the, the Rome Film Festival, and I got, I've gotten awards there, and I just really would like to help you with anything that I could possibly help with. And he's just been really amazing to just, for the first time, we went deep into the dark corners of our camera's brain and messed with all the settings. He's been helping us with our audio and different things like that. So it's been really good and he's very generously offered all of that help for free. So that's been another really great way to grow.
Yeah, and I think he's a very talented filmmaker in Peru, but in some ways, because their budgets aren't as big as Hollywood budgets, he has great tips for us because we can stay within the realms of what we need to be spending money on.
Wow, that's so smart. So, okay, I want to ask you about how you're marketing this project and where it is in terms of being finished. But first, what are your dreams as you're looking at, I don't know, given where you are now and what you're working on now, what are you looking forward to doing either next or what you're building towards, the next couple of years? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, we've
thought about it.
It's really hard to be working on a project and try to think future. Like right now, everything is just like Fabiola is the thing, but we do have some plans for the future, of course.
Yeah, we do. This was a Jim Morlino dream, was Hollywood, getting a place where people could build studios and sets and actors could come and improve their craft and contribute as a group of Catholics doing that together. And so in the very least, I really would like to purchase some property and put some large warehouses on it where we can have sets. It's really difficult we build the sets. Okay. So we do that too. We do everything. So it's really difficult to spend months on a set, and hours and hours and blood, sweat, and tears, literally, meals on the go, and then tear it down, so some of that, it would be really great if we could have a place like that where we could film and other people could come and film there. And we also have a streaming service now, and we want our streaming service to become, a competitor with something like PureFlix, where just a different sort of style of films will be on our streaming service. And at this point, we've just met, people who are like us. We'd like to move forward on that too.
Say more about that, if you would. How is a family like yours with these incredibly beautiful, ambitious dreams, and you're starting a streaming service? Like, okay, what else are you doing? Say more about that. What's the dream there? how are you making that work?
I would say the dream there, though, really is kind of an inspiration that comes from like the Mother Angelica sort of thought, like, if we can do this and we'll just try. And if it's what God wants, then, it'll succeed. And I think that's also an Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre sort of mentality. So I think that there's a lot of, we are not perfectionists. We do our very, very best, but we always put things out there and we try it. And if it doesn't work, we just figure that must be God saying not now. And that's how we feel about the streaming service. But Faustina's done a really great job of actually contacting people, making contracts, uploading, a lot of that back end stuff. Would you like to talk about that?
Yeah, so we also have a film festival. This will be our third film festival.
As one does. Keep going. Amazing.
And so that's actually a really good recruiter for our streaming service, because people put their films in our film festival, and then we can ask, we've already seen them, and we can say, hey, do you want to put this in our streaming service? So that's kind of like how we're working on growing it. I do try to keep my eye out for anyone that's making films that, our kind of promise to our audience is nothing that contradicts Catholic morality. It's been a lot of fun to upload the videos and see the views and get the sales. So.
And at this point, how many films are on there? There's 25?
I think there's 36,
36
or something.
Okay, there's 36 films.
Amazing.
On there. And it's $99. Well, it's $12 a year, so we say it's $1 a month, which is, I think, it's a good place right now for where it is. We'll up it as we get more films, and it has a good sort of scheme for paying the filmmakers too. That's
Yeah.
kind of similar to what you would find on other sort of commission-based things on the internet.
Right, so the filmmakers are also getting supported through people buying the streaming service and watching those
Yeah,
movies.
they're getting paid way more per view than they ever would from. Well, I mean, YouTube, you have to have at least 1,000 subscribers before you can monetize, and a lot of that monetization is not things we were really that thrilled to have be commercials on our products, and there's no commercials on our streaming service. So at this point, it's been a really, really, really great thing for us.
It's only
Amazing.
about, I think it's a year old in July. So
Yeah.
it's been exciting to see it take off
Yeah.
so well.
So how are you? You're in the weeds, you're filming everything, you're creating these stories, and then you're also running a film festival and a streaming platform. How are you also, I guess, marketing this or getting the word out? Or have you partnered with other people to help with that?
Well, with we do, I don't know, we do have a meeting every morning and are like, what is important to do today? We also have our blog, and that we go through and we're like, this week this was watched on the theater, so we should mention that it was popular. So we do have like plans and strategies that we carry out every single day. Making the new film Fabiola, we have brought in new team members who are kind of helping promote that. But
And Laura Ruth is one of them.
yeah, so yeah, having
introduced us
someone like
to.
Laura help us is kind of taken off some of the burden of reaching out to people, and she lines everything up. But as far as marketing and keeping things running, it's like, okay, we're gonna have a film festival in 6 months. It's time to start thinking about the details. We're gonna have a launch on the streaming service in a couple of weeks. Think about the details. So I just think there's a lot of pre-planning, and then also sometimes we overwhelm ourselves and then we remind ourselves we don't want to do that. So I also think like when we are building a set, I do remember we were like, okay, nothing else is going on. We're not, if somebody reaches out and wants to talk to us about the festival, we say, oh yes, here's the quick details. I'll get back to you on that closer to time.
Yeah.
So we do know when it gets too overwhelming, and we do take breaks from things. So
And I think we have a pretty good system of, if it isn't working, get rid of it.
Yeah.
We did have a streaming app before we had the streaming service, and it was just our films. It was substantially more expensive to run. It was way more complicated to run, and we didn't get nearly as many sales. And it was the same price and everything. So we decided to abandon that and the stream. So I think we do have a good way of like, no, this is not working. We need to, angle this differently.
it's a trial period.
And we've always treated it like a business for all of our films. So 2017, even just going in on our first film when they were 16 and 14, and it was a homeschool group project, it still had a business flair to it.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's so cool to see the focus that you all have in what you're doing, and the fact that that is working. How are you finding or reaching out? What's the process for reaching out to people to come be a part of your film festivals? Yeah, how do you find these creators? I guess they're from all over the country.
Yeah.
We've
Well,
gathered them.
it's kind of, we already had a family website before we started filmmaking. So we already had like kind of an audience. And then when we started filmmaking, people would reach out to us through our site. Hey, I'm a filmmaker too. So that was kind of how we got the first festival going, is we were like, well, all of these people that have reached out to us, why not showcase their films and offer awards and kind of have this whole like red carpet event around that. And so that was kind of how it started. Yeah. But a lot of, posting on social media every day, sending out our newsletter, making an important thing that we have a newsletter so that people can subscribe and we can directly contact them.
It seems like the majority of them have been inspired by the War of the Vendee as well.
Yeah. So there's kind of a connection there.
Amazing. Well, okay, so last thought or question is, what do you like to tell other people who walk up to you and go, I want to do what you're doing? What do you say to them to encourage them to get started, get into it? Yeah, what advice would you have for them?
I think a lot of people are impressed when I tell them that our first film was recorded on an iPad and no microphone.
No microphone. Okay.
So when people kind of come up and are like, what should I do to do it? It's like the answer is do it. Like whatever you have, just do it. Of course, improve down the road, but experience how, just even if the quality isn't perfect, experience the process. Make a script, line up shoot days, gather some people, put on some dress up clothes. You don't have to make costumes. Anything that takes in an image you can use to record. Speak loudly, and then edit it and show it off. That's like, just do it. Next time round, do something different. Maybe structure the script, get some more better type costumes, go find some better locations, maybe get a microphone, but keep your camera. So stuff like that, just kind of like at least experience it once. Maybe it won't turn out beautifully, but at least force yourself to do it.
And then you'll know if you like it.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think my advice to people, and I hate to always feel kind of doom and gloom, but don't expect every single person that you know to jump on this, be excited about it, be as passionate as you are. Like, actually, your best friends are probably not going to make it with you, and that you are going to hear what you don't want to hear 80% of the time, and not to feel like, oh, I'm a failure. Feel like, that is actually very, very normal, and you will find your audience and your fans, but don't expect it to be immediate. Don't expect it to be the people that you already know. You're going to find new people through the process.
I think that's just great life advice, especially for people who are creative entrepreneurs or self-starters.
Yeah, right now we are working on pre-production on our $1.25 million film. And this is going to be an opportunity for people to invest in films. We've seen this with some other Christian-based film companies, that we actually can make an alternative to Hollywood with our own values and our own beliefs. And this is a chance to be part of making the transformation of the culture towards more Christ-centered. And Fabiola is a story that takes place during a time that we kind of were seeing maybe in the last 4 years. It looks like looking a little better now, but where we're surrounded by absolute pagans, and that's normal. Like, that lifestyle is totally normal. And where there's actually just a few people who are still lights in a darkened world, and it might look like it's the end of the world maybe, but through suffering and persecution, the church actually rose out of that situation. It was watered with the blood of the martyrs. And the story follows a pagan woman who just kind of wonders what is different between the people who seem to be good and the people who are evil, who she associates herself with. And it comes out one by one, they're all Christian. And as they're martyred, she realizes that what she thought was bad was actually what she was admiring all the time. And she's forced to choose whether or not she wants to live a life like them or continue in her evil ways, which seem to be a little more comfortable at the time. So, of course, the prediction is conversion, but it's a really great story, and we're excited to tell it. And if anyone is able to invest in the film, we'd love for you to reach out, and we can tell you more about that. And it's going to be a fantastic adventure.
Yes, so go to fabiolamovie.com and either help us crowdfund or invest in the film, because we are eager. We can't wait to start. As soon as we get our first chunk of money, we're going to start filming the movie, and it'll be done within we'll have it in theaters within 2 years or 3 years if we can get going quick enough.